Okay, so here I am again for what could well be the penultimate weekend working on the dinghy. Basically all I need to do now is get some varnish on the exposed wooden areas, including the rudder stock and tiller. That's going to take probably 4 or 5 coats, and I think I can do 4 this weekend. So maybe 1 more or maybe 2 more coats the next time I'm here, and then get the hardware installed. And that's pretty much it. So once the hardware is installed, it can go into the transportation and maybe go to the lake. So let's see. So after this weekend, next time it might be able to get its keel wet in some water. So let's have a look, see where we are. So this is all nicely painted now. 2 coats of paint on the inside as well as the outside. I've left the exposed wood, which is going to get varnished, 4 coats this weekend, starting with 1 this afternoon, and then 2 tomorrow, and then 1 more on Sunday. I'm going to start fitting some of the hardware, like the buoyancy tank inspection hatches are going to get fitted. I've got some sealant that I can use to get those sealed up and screwed in, and I've also put these 2, don't know what you call them. They're like bolts with a ring on the top, and I'm going to use those to put some bungee cord through, and also to attach the seat to, so that it doesn't get lost overboard. So they're kind of like an anchor point really. So there's 1 each side. So those have just been screwed in with a little bit of epoxy, so hopefully that'll keep them from coming out. So that's the first bit of hardware installed. And this is the centerboard. That's going to get a coat of varnish, or 4 coats of varnish on the wooden bit that's exposed there. Varnished on the top. So the tiller and the rudder stock, that's all one. That's going to get varnished as well. This is a kind of sacrificial strip for an outboard. So it's an outboard pad, so that's going to need varnishing as well. And then the top of the centerboard case, and then the front foredeck, or the foredeck. There's only one foredeck. So the foredeck's going to get a coat of varnish as well today, and then more tomorrow. There are some little bits of areas I'm going to need to touch up, and then the hardware can get installed, and I think it's going to be ready to go. So this is the seat, centre seat, and the rudder blade. So that's all nicely painted, that's ready to go. So yeah, it's just a question of getting that varnish sorted out. Get that varnish sorted out this afternoon, that's the next job, and leave it overnight, and second coat tomorrow. So let's get cracking. Morning. Well, the dinghy's almost ready, so this is probably the last video I'm going to do from inside the dining room, because tomorrow we're going to be taking the dinghy out of here to Rutland Water and taking her out for her maiden voyage, see if we can get her to sail. So the last few visits really have just been about getting the varnish done, and so that's really involved any of these areas of bare wood that you can see. I've had to have 7 coats minimum of varnish, so that's what I've got on here now. It's 7 coats of varnish, and I've rubbed it down twice in between those 7 coats. So I think I did 2 and then sanded down, then did 3, sanded down, and then a final 2. And well, as you can see, it looks pretty good, I think. Hopefully that will protect the epoxy from the UV. So today's job really is about getting all of the gudgeons and pintles on both the rudder stock
and the stern, getting the U-bolts in the stern, and just basically getting all the rigging sorted out, so that tomorrow we can actually get her on the water and see if she will sail. Right, on we go. Okay, so I've just spent, I don't even know how long it was, at least an hour, maybe longer, an hour and a half, fitting the pintles to the rudder stock. So that's all done now. They were quite tight fitting anyway, and it was always difficult to get the bolts through, and with like 7 layers of varnish, that's just added to the problem. But obviously varnish is not that thick, but just thick enough to make a slight difference. So it was a bit of a struggle, especially this lower one, getting that last pin in. And in fact, on the upper one, the bolts wouldn't even go in at all. So I had to give that another little quick drill through just to widen out the hole a bit again. But now they're all fastened on. They're fastened on with, this has got the lower one, because the rudder goes through the middle of these two. There's 2 bolts. One here and one at the back, and then just one goes all the way through at the front. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5. That's just solid wood here, so those are just straight through. So 2 bolts, 3 bolts, and then 2 more, one on either side. So 2, 4, 5 bolts in total. So they've just got a simple nut on at the moment, not a locking nut. So possibly what I'll do is get some locking nuts for those. But in the meantime, I've just put a little bit of butyl tape around the nut, just to kind of hold it in place a little bit, stop it coming loose. So that's the concern there, that those bolts will come off and that'll become loose. But there's 5 of them, so I'll just have to keep an eye on it. Hopefully it won't happen tomorrow. And in the longer term, I'll get some self-locking nuts to put on there. So that's the tiller, and I've put the jammer for the downhole on the rudder blade. So that's pretty much done and ready to go. So next step is to get the pintles on the stern. So let's get cracking with that. But I don't know what you think about this, but I think that looks pretty classy. Nice bit of stainless steel, nice bit of varnished wood. I think that's pretty gorgeous. So hopefully that'll look just as good when it's on the dinghy. Right, let's crack on with those gudgeons.